Gabby was homesick. She came home to New York, and that's when she ran into Brian. And when she moved down to Florida, it was pretty quickly, probably within 6 or so months, that they started talking about going on a road trip in a van. I wasn't worried until the moment right before she left, when she hugged me goodbye and she started crying. I finally had to walk into a police department in New York and beg and say, please just give me a missing persons report. That's all we need.
So we were driving to go get food, and there was so much rain at this point in time. It was like we just moved down to Florida. My whole house was still in boxes. We were going to get food, and lightning struck the car, like right next to my car, where I felt it in my spine. And I was like, I've never felt it so powerful before. And I know that that was Gabby telling us to like wake up, like that she's not here.
My kids were in the living room. We were obviously in the kitchen, just doing what we had to do, trying to, talk to media, and FBI, I think, had already called at that point. We were just doing what we had to do. All of a sudden, the TV in the living room shot up to 100 volume. It was so loud. I was like telling the kids, I'm like, what are you doing? They were like, we're not touching it. The remote stopped working. We couldn't turn the volume down, and I had to unplug the TV to get it to stop. None of the buttons on the remote worked. I couldn't turn it off. I couldn't turn the volume down. I believe it was Gabby just screaming, hello, come find me. But again, at that time, I knew something had happened, but I wasn't looking at that as a sign until after the fact. And I was like, you know what? That was definitely her.
We were doing a interview with 2020. It was right after Netflix. And we actually were just talking about her signs.
I said, just so everybody knows, Gabby likes to play with electronics. And then we kept on with our interview. And afterwards, they run up to us and they're like, we have to tell you something.
Welcome to Next Realm, Beautiful Stories from Beyond, a show that explores the profound and heartwarming stories of individuals who've experienced messages from their departed loved ones. I'm your host, Amber Rasmussen, and today I'm joined by Gabby Petito's mother, Niki Schmidt, and stepmother, Tara Petito. In 2021, the world followed Gabby's tragic story after she was murdered during a cross-country trip with her fiancé, Brian Laundrie. And since her passing, Niki and Tara say Gabby continues to send them incredible signs from beyond, moments that remind them that her spirit is still close. In this deeply personal conversation, they're opening up about those experiences for the very first time and how those messages continue to guide their work with the Gabby Petito Foundation. I am honored that you guys even said yes to coming on Next Realm and talking about Gabby and how her spirit has come through. So I just wanted to start with, what are your favorite things about her?
We miss Gabby so much. She was really a light in our lives. She got into trouble too, but in the end, we were always just so happy with her. She was just such a great personality. She loved things that were really funny, and she tried to tell jokes, which she wasn't very good at. She would forget how to say it or miss the whole reason for the joke, and then she would have to go back and tell it again. And so she tried to be funny, but she loved to laugh. So we miss her laugh a lot.
Her presence could light up an entire room. Her smile, she just had this infectious laugh, and she just had a fearless life. She didn't like to go outside a lot, camping-wise, but she did always like to go on adventures. Ever since she was younger, we would always try to go on any adventure that we could go on. Thankfully, we were able to do that when she was in her teenage years, and we were able to do so much. And I'm so thankful that I have all of those memories.
I thought I heard that she was quite artistic.
She could draw her self-portrait perfectly. She could do it in colored pencils.
Her art, it was just so natural. From the time she could pick up a pencil, she was drawing, crayons, whatever it was, painting, finger painting, whatever she could do.
You mentioned she's not outdoorsy.
In 2012, a superstorm Sandy flooded our house. So we were nomads for a little bit, but we found some rentals and stuff. And the last few months before we moved into our new home, we bought a camper because we could no longer be in the rental house that we were in, and we were just waiting for our house to be completed. So we were like, let's do something fun. It was summertime. So we get this camper, and she comes with us and wakes up the next morning and says, oh my gosh, there's a spider in my brush. I can't do this. I can't do this. I'm not doing this. So then she decided to go stay more with her dad. She was living with her dad on and off throughout that whole process because we didn't have our home yet. But once we got into the home, she was back in it. But it was just so funny because she hated camping, even with a camper. It wasn't like we were in a tent. We were in a camper.
What was it about it that she didn't like other than the spider in her hairbrush? Was it
Yeah.
just, I don't like living in a suitcase or like a bag or
Yeah.
not being able to shower? Or was it specifically that she was just like, "Ugh, I don't like
I
this"?
think it was all of those things.
Yeah. She's a lot like her dad. Her dad doesn't really like camping either. We always joke he's very bougie.
Hey,
It's
there's nothing wrong with that.
the mint on his pillow when he wakes up at a hotel.
I always say she was like a hippie, but sprinkle a little
Yeah.
like bougie fairy
Yeah.
dust on her.
Okay, so
It's great.
how in the heck? So how old was she when she started doing the camper van? And how did that even come to be?
When she graduated high school, she moved to North Carolina and met her ex-boyfriend, Jackson, who we love. He's very much a part of our family still. They talked about possibly doing something like this, going on a long road trip, and they just didn't have the funds or the means to do it. So it was something that they talked about doing in the future. But they amicably broke up. Gabby was homesick. She came home to New York, and that's when she ran into Brian. And when she moved down to Florida, it was pretty quickly, probably within 6 or so months, that they started talking about going on a road trip in a van. And they had already gone on a road trip in her car right before they left for Florida. So she had experienced it, but they were staying in Airbnbs mostly. It wasn't like the real camping experience. And then that's when she decided that she wanted to do that.
So it wasn't like just a random guy. She knew who he was.
Yes, Brian and Gabby were friends in high school. They had the same friend group. He was 1 year older. He graduated a year before she did. So when she had moved down to North Carolina and then came back, it was just by chance that they ran into each other. He was up visiting his parents because he lived in Florida already.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was really just an unbelievable, horrible situation that she ran into him.
Were you excited for her?
So I was not excited about the second trip. The first trip, you should definitely go. I mean, who wouldn't want to go see the world that way or the country that way and all that it has to offer? But the second one, I was like, I started noticing things and I was not happy.
I wasn't worried about the trip itself. As a mom, of course, I'm like, at least she's with Brian. I'm pretty sure he could protect her. And I asked them before they left too. I said, do you guys have any weapons on you? He said he was not carrying a gun in the van because across state lines, there's different laws and he didn't have a license for guns. I wasn't worried until the moment right before she left when she hugged me goodbye and she started crying. And I don't know, that always stuck with me. I thought it was really weird that she was crying. I guess I thought it was out of excitement at the time, but something felt off about it. And I really do think that was Gabby's kind of subconsciously knowing that something was going to happen.
And I don't really, and maybe they have, but has other news outlets covered that first trip? Because I'd imagine if that one went smoothly, that would even assure you even more. Okay, they already did it once and no
Yeah.
issues. She never came back saying, "Oh man, we fought the whole time. It was terrible," or anything like that.
Supposedly, they weren't even dating before they left on that trip. That's when they got really close and then came back and said, okay, we're dating now type of thing. But yeah, no, it was, she said it was the most fun she had ever had. And she was so excited to do it again. And that's when she really was like pumped up to make that a thing at some point.
So then, did she start her channel before they set off? Or was that just, I'm just teaching myself as I go. I'm just going to do this.
She had already been posting on Instagram and stuff, preparing for it. While on the road, she developed the name, she made a website, and then she planned her first YouTube video and she got it done.
So she was documenting her first trip as well. She had to teach it all. That's how much determination she had, and that's how artistic and creative she could be.
Yeah, I'm so impressed. And what a go-getter too, because it's a lot, especially navigating the travel at the same time. You're living in close quarters with someone. You're teaching yourself how to do this. She's probably having to interact with people that are watching too.
And he didn't like it one bit. He belittled the whole situation, like the online stuff. The YouTube, none of it.
Yeah, he just wanted to go camping. He didn't and have her all to himself. He didn't want her to be able to work at all and do anything for herself. Meanwhile, we had producers actually look at footage and said how they would have hired her on the spot.
During her trip, was she reaching out? Was it like I'll talk to you every Sunday, I'll talk to you every day, or what? So the minute all of a sudden you're like, something doesn't feel right. What was that trigger where you're just like, was it your intuition saying, I don't know, I need to check in on her, or something doesn't feel right? What was that moment?
I was talking to her pretty much daily, even if it was a text, it was some FaceTimes. There came a point where I wasn't getting any texts. There was no activity on social media. I called her dad and I said, "Hey, have you heard from the kids?" And he said he hadn't. And I was like, "Well, I don't know. I'm worried." And we all were like, maybe they just have no signal, because the last text that I received said, "We're in Yosemite and we have no signal." I always hear these horror stories about national parks. So I'm starting to panic. That Thursday, before we reported her missing, we started calling national parks, trying to find out if they could put up some kind of search for her, just to find out where she is, after all the phone calls that we all made. And we were all trying to get her reported missing to all the different police departments. I finally had to walk into a police department in New York and beg and say, "Please just give me a missing persons report. That's all we need. And then we can get moving on actually looking for her," because at that point, you're at a standstill. You can't expect the law enforcement to do anything. So it was this wonderful woman detective, Tracy Barry. She saw my mom heart breaking and decided to file the report. She said, "I don't know if I can do much from here." But then little did she know that she was going to basically break open the whole entire case from New York, and shattered our whole world to find out that Brian was home with the van and Gabby was nowhere to be found. We were just scared to death. From that night on, I don't think we ate or slept for weeks. He just left her there. He left her there and he left and he went home. So that was a horrible moment. I feel the chills when I think about it, that feeling of shock that we had.
I know you're probably like, I can't reach him, but did you try his family or her friends to be like, have you guys heard from them? What's going on? Because it's definitely, I'm sure, like one thing when you feel like maybe they fell hiking or they're hurt,
Right.
versus someone's not coming home. When was that shift? Was it when they found out he was home in Florida? Or was it, oh, I had this really horrible feeling that it's bigger?
I thought from the start that they were both missing. I sent Roberta, his mother, a text saying, "Have you heard from the kids? I'm worried about them." And I got no response. I tried to text Brian. I got no response.
So we were driving to go get food, and there was so much rain at this point in time. It was like we just moved down to Florida. My whole house was still in boxes. We were going to get food, and lightning struck the car, like right next to my car, where I felt it in my spine. And I was like, I've never felt it so powerful before. And I know that that was Gabby telling us to like wake up, like that she's not here.
Wow. Did you tell Niki and the family about that sign?
I don't think I really like said it to anybody else. Joe doesn't really believe in signs. I think then we were just in full mode where, trying to find her.
I think as parents, we all knew something was really bad. Something bad had happened, but we had to communicate with each other that we have to have hope. We didn't want to lose hope, even though deep down my mom gut told me something bad happened, especially when the detective came to the door and said Brian was home. I knew instantly he killed her. Like in my brain, I said he killed her. He took her.
Yeah.
And I couldn't call them and say Brian's home with the van. He killed Gabby. I didn't say it like that. I said Gabby's missing. Brian's home with the van. We need to find her. And that night, I put up a Facebook page. That page got shared hundreds of thousands of times within 24 hours. It was just unbelievable how fast. But yeah, I knew. And then I spoke to a medium a few days after that. It was a friend of mine who's a medium.
Oh, and this is before she was found?
Before she was found. And I didn't tell the other parents because I obviously was like, I'm not going to take away that hope. And I was just at that point, like, we just need to find her. Where they found her was
Yeah.
basically where he was saying.
Wow.
We work with families that never find their loved ones. I'm really glad we found her.
Yeah, we call it Hell Week. I mean, my husband was just doing one news report after another, but I was trying to hold down the fort with the kids and family, and they keep calling, and everybody's like, "Oh, you're going to find her. You're going to bring her home." And my one question was, well, if that was the case, he
That's right.
wouldn't be home and have a lawyer.
When we reported her missing, it was the day after. So we found out Brian was home with the van that night on September 11th, 2021. The next day was Sunday. My kids were in the living room. We were obviously in the kitchen just doing what we had to do, trying to, talk to media, and FBI, I think, had already called at that point. We were just doing what we had to do. All of a sudden, the TV in the living room shot up to 100 volume. It was so loud. I was like telling the kids, I'm like, "What are you doing?" They were like, "We're not touching it." The remote stopped working. We couldn't turn the volume down, and I had to unplug the TV to get it to stop. None of the buttons on the remote worked. I couldn't turn it off. I couldn't turn the volume down. I believe it was Gabby just screaming, "Hello?" Like, "Come find me." But again, at that time, I knew something had happened, but I wasn't looking at that as a sign until after the fact, and I was like, "You know what? That was definitely her," because she plays with electronics a lot.
Yes. I feel like
So,
that's
that was the first.
the
Yeah.
what's the word? Like the entry.
Mhm.
Like once they pass over, it's like that's the first thing I feel like they start doing is turning things off and on or flickering lights or it's
Yeah. I
like
guess it's the easiest
a
thing for
new
them.
skill they're learning on the other side of, "Ooh,
Mhm.
I can do this." And then they do other stuff later.
It's hard to remember everything. Go ahead, Tara.
We were doing a interview with 2020. It was right after Netflix, and we actually we were just talking about her signs, the signs that she
I said, "Just
sends.
so everybody knows, Gabby likes to play with electronics." And then we kept on with our interview, and afterwards, they run up to us and they're like, "We have to tell you something. When you said that, all of the headphones had static in them and everything glitched out, and then it went back to normal." And I
Oh
was like,
my
"That was
gosh.
Gabby."
There's so many times where something like that has happened.
Jim and I were just speaking up in Boston at a college, and it was a smaller kind of auditorium. There was probably about 100 people there. Somebody asked a question, and I started talking about Gabby, and the lights just went all the way dim and all the way back on, and that was the only time it did it the entire night, and I was like, "Oh, that was Gabby."
I'm going to say a month after we found Gabby. So it was got to be 2 months after she had passed. And I'm sitting in my living room. I was all up in my feelings, all emotional. And I heard a cooing outside. And I can hear like a little tapping on my window.
Oh my God, you guys.
And I go to the
have
window
goosebumps.
and it was a mourning dove. He just sat there and I know that was her coming to tell me that I'm okay, like I'm here and I'm okay.
You wanna tell her about the Eagles?
I'm going to start with, so I guess when Jim has his own eagle story from like right after Gabby was found. And then I was like, well, I want to see an eagle. So I'm driving around and I'm like, I've never seen like a real life live eagle.
The wild. Yeah.
Before in my life. And that was like in nature, not like in in the wild. Sorry. So I was driving home from my son's school. Like, I want to see an eagle. Gabby, you need to send me an eagle. Gabs, I want to see a real one. So I go home, I'm on Facebook, and then I see a picture of an eagle that like my aunt
real
posted.
eagle.
So my son's school, the way that I normally would take, I had to take a different way because they were doing a lot of work. And then I saw my eagle, and it was like right sitting there up on the perch. At this point, I'm like, Gabs, I want like an eagle to like fly over my car. Like that would be
Well, guys, tell me you got a picture or video
like
or something.
soaring over my car. So then
Wyoming, where
we
Gabby
go to
was found.
Jackson in September and Wyoming, and we take a helicopter ride. And Joey's very upset about this because he didn't get to go because he wasn't with us and he's only allowed to take a helicopter ride. But anyway, that's besides the point. But then all of a sudden, the pilot was like pulling up.
All of a sudden we look over, we
he
see an
pulling
eagle
up
flying
like he's jerking
under
up.
us.
There was an
God,
eagle
were
that
you
was
screaming
soaring to the...
What?
I don't even think I took a picture. I was
Oh
just
my
like,
God!
"No,
Yeah,
I
so we
couldn't."
couldn't take the camera out fast
it's just
enough.
seared
So
in
of
your
course we didn't
memory
get a picture.
forever.
Nope.
That is so cool.
But then a couple days later, Niki and I are driving from
6-hour drive.
Jackson down to Laramie because we have another event in Laramie, Wyoming. It's a 6-hour drive with like nothing in between. And we're like asking for her for signs. Like we want that sign like that we should like move to Wyoming. Like we need to be here. That another eagle flew right over our car at that point.
Do that either.
So to backtrack a little bit with the eagle story, so
Yeah.
the FBI was looking for Gabby out in Spread Creek, and our advocate, she's indigenous, she was amazing. Jim was out there, and she said to Jim, she said, an eagle is flying over, and he saw the eagle, and she said, that's the spot we're going to find her. And that was the next day they found Gabby under the eagle.
So it's all connected, and it's something that only you would know. We always find like signs, or if the person who passed like loved, I don't know, a certain movie or a certain saying or whatever, that will be something. You're always connected where you're like, yes, 100%.
I can't watch Matilda or
Really?
Tangled anymore. Yeah,
We're Tangled. I can't watch Tangled. Even though we were flying home from somewhere recently, and the woman next to me was watching.
Yeah,
was watching
again,
Tangled,
another
and I'm like,
sign.
that's a weird movie. Meanwhile, Gabby and I watched it all the time. Well, then Matilda was playing because that's another movie. Right after, I think the next year, at the high school, at one of her high schools, that's where they were playing Matilda for the musical. It was here too, where I moved to.
Tara, you need to tell your dime story because that one is awesome.
Oh my God. So I was driving to Niki's house. We were doing an event in Tampa, and it's a 2.5 3 hour drive. So of course I have to stop and get gas, and I get gas, and it stopped at $55.55. I'm like, I need to take a picture of it. I never took a photo of it. I'm like, that's a weird number for like it to stop on, and it just 5555. I was like, that's crazy. So when I sat in the car, put my seatbelt on, I felt a dime come over my shoulder. So I put my seatbelt on this way, right? And then I felt a dime come over my right shoulder, and I landed on my leg. And I was like, there's nobody in the car with me. Someone told me that, so I'm like, yeah, okay, you're crazy. But I'm like, no, a dime came and it was like sitting on my leg. I was like, I have no idea where it came from. And you find out that like a lot of times a spirit will throw a dime because
Are you
they
serious? I didn't know that.
lay the lease.
Dimes are everywhere always. I find them in the most random places, but it's just the smallest, lightest coin. So but I'm always like, Gabby, paper money, paper money.
Yes, right? Hey. Has your husbands, you said that they had stuff too, or the siblings, have they ever had any experiences?
So I have 2 boys, and they don't really believe in the signs so much. And I don't really talk to them about it because they're not very open. I will talk to her dad about it. He did have one major sign. So when we were in the DR, Gabby picked out this elephant painting. So in order to get it home, you had to take it off the frame, unfortunately. So they wouldn't ship it. So they roll it up and they put it in a tube, and we get home and kind of forgot about it and never had it framed. Later on, I was like, oh, honey, we should really get this framed for Gabby because it is her painting. She did pick it out. Just never happened. And then when we moved down to Florida after everything that happened, he was like, I think we finally need to get this painting framed. So he took it, we picked out the frame, whatever. And when he went to pick it up and brought it back, it was raining, and there was a double rainbow. And he's like, it was like Gabby knew that we were bringing the painting home.
My youngest, she has dreams all the time. I think she's the most open, and she doesn't get upset. I've heard that spirits won't come in dreams because they know it's going to upset you, because you're going to wake up like sad because you got to see them again and you want to go back. But yeah, so she has a lot of dreams, and so does my 17-year-old, actually. She's open with me about it.
What was your, on a scale of believing signs? Because you had gone straight to a medium, and I don't know, I feel like all of us are like, I want to go talk to a medium. I need someone to give me a
like a direct line of what's going on. And whether you believe in mediums or not, I feel like it's like this natural inclination of someone's got to help me. I got to believe or not believe, but I'm still willing to take a chance to see what they have to say. Were you already into it?
Very, very spiritual. Always believed that we never actually die. We're always just a non-physical form when we leave here.
Yeah.
So it was easy for me to understand that someone could see Gabby right away. So he's somebody that I trust. It wasn't like it was a random person. And he asked me if I wanted to know what he knew. He said, "Do you want to hear it?" And I was like, yes. I was like ready for it because I knew deep down. And when he said, yes, she did cross over. Her grandmothers were there with her, meaning Joe's mom and my mom, because they had both passed when she was around 10, 11 years old. And he described where she was. And I knew at that moment, like, okay, like now we're looking for her. She's not alive. We're looking for her. And I was kind of very like, I just kept going and doing what I had to do to get through until we found her. And then once we got the news that she was found, I just finally broke down. I remember just landing on the floor. Like that was the moment where it was real, even though I already knew. But finding her, it was really a blessing for us.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, there's families that go 10, 30, 40 years and never get any answers. And when we were going through it that week and, we're trying to get her information out as much as possible, I just remember sitting there like, how long can this go on for? I mean, thankfully we have, Gabby's remains. We cremated her. So she sits with us. I don't have her. I'm not wearing her right now because I took it off before I went to sleep last night. But so there's families that don't ever get anything. Thankfully, we do have some. We have some.
Yeah, we think about it. He could have left her anywhere. He could have hid her very well. They were out in the middle of nowhere. He could have gotten away with it because you usually don't. There's no conviction when there's no body found. So
Right.
he could have gotten away with it. Would he have taken his life still? I don't know what the outcome would have been, but we would have still been searching for her. And I don't think we would have been able to go back to normal life ever. We're still not in normal life now, but at least we have resolution. And I can't imagine how I would be doing if we didn't have her.
We would not be doing what we're doing now. We would not be able. I don't think we would be able to even function like we are now. We say that, because we were able to bring her home, we were able to start our grieving process.
Recently, I was at the beach with the girls. We went for a walk looking for beach glass, and it's by Tampa Bay in Florida. And I was just looking around, and I'm like, Gabby, I need a good piece. Because up in New York, we used to find really cool pieces of glass. We'd find blue and all different colors. So give me something cool, like a light blue or a purple piece. And I looked down, and it wasn't light blue or purple, but it was a perfectly shaped heart. And I was like, thanks, Gab. You didn't get me the color, but you got me a really cool heart. So
Yeah, I love
really
that.
happy. Yeah.
Obviously, we're human beings and we still have to go through, unfortunately, the grieving process and the anger, the fear, like all the steps. But it seems like people who have a really good, strong sense of the spiritual world and that they're not just gone, that you're never going to see them again. Like having this belief system. I always ask people, do you feel like it's helped you keep moving one step in front of the other?
I think so. I think if you're open to it and you have more signs, it makes you feel more comfort. And I think I hear a lot of people say, I never get signs. How do you get signs? Like they ask, like how? And it's really just asking and being open, talking to them as if they're still here. You have to have conversations with them and they can hear you. They can send signs. You just got to be open to receiving those signs. Yep.
Yeah, I think it's just also too being mindful of your surroundings and what you're doing as a person. I never wanted to be that person laying in bed and just crying my eyes out. I do that. I'm not saying that I don't, and it's hard to get out of it. But yes, the signs always will help. And I keep telling Gabs, I'm like, you just keep sending them to me. Sometimes I'm like, well, you deserve to rest. You deserve to take a break sometimes. And then there's times I'm like, no, I need them. And Niki and I always, like, when we were traveling together, we seem to get a lot more together, or she knows that, like, if before we're on a big trip, like, that she'll send them to us. But yeah, it's just really about, you have to be open to them. And you have to make that mindful decision where you want to be open to them.
I feel like in the very early stages after one passes, they send them fast and furious. It's like, I need you guys to know. I need you to know. And then we've noticed over the years, they get a little less frequent. And so that's where you need to ask them, like, hey, Gabs, show me a seashell or whatever today. And I always hear that they want to hear from us. Like, it's like an open dialogue that you can talk to them.
And it's okay to
anytime.
ask for specific things, like,
Yes.
so you know for sure
Yeah.
that it's them. So you can be like, I want to see something that you don't normally see. Maybe if you don't see a ladybug ever, just be like, I just want to see a ladybug today in the house.
Then you would know. It's like a lot of people just have this analytical side of their brain where it's like immediately, no. But like you said, if it's specific, like the eagle, I want the eagle flying by my car.
She waited till we were together.
It took her a while to have that eagle soar right over our car.
You're in such shock when you see it. You don't have time to.
Oh my gosh.
Sometimes when I'm in one of those moments where I'm upset or really sad and thinking about her and just like I miss her so much, I literally hear in my mind, not like by my ear, but like I hear her say to me, Mom, stop. I'm fine. Like she doesn't like when I get real sad. She wants me to pick myself up and keep going because she was very much, you have to live life. She said when she was here, she said, I'm not afraid to die. I heard her say those words out of her mouth. So she wants all of us to live like that. I hear her kind of yell at me, like, stop. Like, I'm fine.
I think it's just so cool because a lot of people, they go through tragedy, but it's a lot, right? It's a lot to start a foundation, to change your career path. So this obviously is really something passionate that you feel, and it's so cool to see.
I felt this overpowering sense of this need to do something. I called the parents. I said, let's do it. And they were like, okay.
So yeah, we didn't know what that meant at the time. And when she said it, I'm like, I don't know. Like, okay. But I'm like, I would regret it if I would regret it more saying no at that point in time.
So you're doing exactly what she did and teaching herself how to be the YouTuber. And same with you. It's almost like, like we're just going to do it and we'll figure it out as we go.
It's a learning experience, that's for sure.
So what do you do at the Gabby Petito Foundation? Is there like main buckets of educational? I know you guys tour and speak and all that stuff as well.
One of Tara and myself, our passion is really education, and we're trying to build out an education program for all the schools. We go and speak to students now, but that's not sustainable. That's not something that we can do all over the country for forever. So we're trying to build out a program that schools can take and use, and we want it to be completely free. We don't want schools to have any roadblocks and be able to teach this to students so that they can keep themselves safe, know healthy boundaries, know what healthy relationships look like, even with friends. We try to teach them all the things that we wish that Gabby had learned, all the things that we wish we had learned when we were kids. Society has this bias, it's very gender rolled bias, and we are not really teaching our kids that it's okay to say no and it's not okay for someone to treat you poorly. And with that age, it's as middle schoolers, it's friendships, right? It starts there. They're being controlled by friends, and we let them know. And I ask them to raise their hands if they've had any experiences like what we talk about, and they do raise their hands. They're experiencing this at a very young age. So it's important for schools to bring this in. They may not be learning it at home, and most likely they're not. They're not learning it on social media, that's for sure. So that's our passion, and that's what we're working on. And my husband, Jim, has a first responder training program. Him and I met when we were EMTs, and we never had domestic violence training. So that was something that we thought is necessary, and that he's been traveling the country teaching first responders, hospital ER staff, 911 operators, people that just need to know the dynamics when you come into contact with a survivor. So when they do go to court, there's a paper trail, like everybody's been on the same page. It's really important for them to understand why survivors behave the way they do, why they might not want to leave the situation, just understanding the brain chemistry and the trauma that comes along with it.
We've also changed a couple laws. So we are stand behind the lethality assessment for law enforcement to be able to ask a series of questions. We do believe if a lethality assessment was done when Gabby and Brian were stopped in Moab, that could have saved her life. And it's a series of 12 questions. We've passed it here in Florida. We're working on New York right now. We helped, I guess, advocate for the state of Utah when that one got passed as well. I think a couple other states already do take it on, but not all. So we do like to try to get that and changed. And unfortunately, you got to change it with every state. You can't make a national bill. It's every state, and it takes a very, very long time. It's very tedious. So we're working on something else right now. It's a big thing. It's with it's a CVTR,
Victim Technology
which
Reform.
is the committee.
Oh,
I always mess this up. Hopefully we can pilot the program in Alaska first, because they do have some large grants that they are giving right now. So it's got a couple different steps that we will have to take. So the first step would be getting what's called a HERO QR code. So you get services and resources to a victim like sight on scene through a clandestine app. So that their victims won't know what it is. So that would be the first step. And then we are going across the country already, working with first responders, Jim is right now, so we can get it through the systems that way. Then there's the other part of it where it's more stalkerware. So victims, fortunately, we need to get with the times, because abusers have financial control. So they're able to afford these things, where especially as one of them is stalkerware.
We partnered with a tech company that already has a lot of the systems built. We just need to really blow it up and expand it and make it well known that we're coming to change things. We're not here to continue, because we're doing the same thing over and over again. Things aren't changing. The FBI's new report was just put out. There has been a significant increase in domestic violence homicides since 2020. So there's a problem, and we need to try and fix it. And nothing's going to be perfect, but the more tools that we can create to protect survivors, the more lives that will be saved.
Oh my gosh, you guys, there's so much stuff. I applaud everything you're doing, because you're attacking it from so many different angles.
We're doing our first search this year.
We've done searches before.
So we've teamed up
it's
with
our first one that we're
Dylan's Legacy
organized.
And our partner Light the Way, who's our missing persons advocate. And we're going to search for Alyssa Turney, who's been missing for 25 years out of Arizona. And they've never done a search for her because she was labeled a runaway. So we're hoping to find something. We just want to give the family some hope. Again, it's all about hope, and you never know.
Yeah.
And so that's going to be our first search. But we work directly with families that have had a loved one missing.
So you've done a lot in 4.5 years.
So 4.5 years.
Incredible.
Thank you for joining us for this special episode of Next Realm Beautiful Stories from Beyond. A heartfelt thank you to Niki Schmidt and Tara Petito for sharing their experiences and the meaningful signs that they believe Gabby continues to send them from beyond. Their courage, love, and commitment to keeping Gabby's memory alive are truly inspiring. To learn more about the important work being done in Gabby's honor, please visit the Gabby Petito Foundation and consider making a donation. Your support helps further their mission of protecting victims of domestic violence and supporting families facing unimaginable loss. And if you have a story of a sign, visitation, dream, or connection from a loved one who has passed, I'd love to hear from you. Please email me at nextrealmpodcast@gmail.com. Your story may be featured in a future episode of Next Realm. Until next time, keep your heart open, pay attention to the signs, and remember, love doesn't end when life does.